Mormon Transgressions, Looking Beyond the Mark. While reading this week in the Book of Mormon, I came across the passage in 2 Nephi, where Jacob is reading the words of Isaiah. Isaiah says metaphorically of the Lord's people, "To whom have I sold you? Behold, for your iniquities have ye sold yourselves, and for your transgressions is your mother put away." I stopped and thought about this scripture for a few minutes. As I've begun to really try to understand the Book of Mormon and the gospel of Christ, I've often wondered what some of these nebulous words such as iniquities and transgressions mean. I thought that if I could truly understand them, I would better understand the warnings and the prophecies and examples given to us by those prophets. I've already done a video on what I found when I researched the true meaning of the word iniquity, that it means unequalness or unevenness, the act of making ourselves superior to others, especially those of other races, genders, ranks, or income levels. This realization has done so much to give me clarity as I read the Book of Mormon. And so when I read this passage and saw that Isaiah had linked these two words, iniquity and transgression, as reasons that we, the church, those who have the scriptures and profess to be his people, have sold ourselves and are put away from the Lord, I also wanted to know what transgression meant. The word transgression is used so often in the scriptures. In fact, a word search shows it is used 65 times in the Book of Mormon alone. I felt inspired to look at the etymology of the word transgression. This is what I found. To transgress comes from the Latin transgressus, which means to step across, step over, climb over, pass, or go beyond. From the Latin words trans, meaning across or beyond, and gradi, which is to go. Wow, this was definitely something I had never known before, and it amazed me. Once again, my mind finally comprehended a great truth. We transgress Christ's words, his teachings, and his laws when we literally go beyond them. Do you see what I see here? A transgressor is not simply someone who doesn't obey a teaching. He's someone who goes beyond Christ's words and corrupts Christ's true gospel. Remember when Christ visited the people in America and chose his 12 disciples to, quote, minister unto them and to be their servants, unquote. He told them, "Therefore, go forth unto this people and declare the words which I have spoken unto the ends of the earth." And very specifically, he told them to teach his exact doctrine and to not, quote, declare more or less than this, unquote. We saw them follow Jesus' instructions later on in 3 Nephi 19:8, where those 12 servants, quote, ministered those same words which Jesus had spoken, nothing varying from the words which Jesus had spoken. This is earth-shaking. This is an atomic bomb. In Jesus Christ's true church, we're only to teach his exact words, which he spoke with his own mouth, nothing varying, nothing more, nothing less. I think this is the great game changer of all time. Think of everything in our church that would be different if we only taught Christ's own words in this way from the beginning and not added on to his doctrine with all the teachings of men. There would be no such things as polygamy. Jesus never once taught that concept. Tithing. Jesus never taught tithing either. Blood atonement. Duh. One of many no-brainers that Jesus never taught. The covenant path. Nowhere does Christ teach that. Swearing oaths. Jesus teaches us exactly against that. Priesthood. Jesus never mentions this word once, not in all the time that he spent with Lehi's descendants. And it was also never mentioned anywhere in the Book of Mormon, except in the Book of Alma, when they were still under the jurisdiction of the laws of Abraham and Moses. Christ never mentions women not being able to be ordained as to be teachers or to bless the bread and wine. He never mentions not drinking wine. In fact, he commands us to drink it. He never mentions a church president, counselors, or a ruling body of 12 leaders. He only called 12 servants with very defined and specific responsibilities. Nor does he mention stake presidents, bishops, or any kind of presidents or leaders at all. Basically, almost everything we see in our entire church experience consists of things that Jesus Christ never taught at all. So to me, the meaning of the word transgress, which is to pass over or go beyond, when applied to Christ's words, explains perfectly why we have wandered so far off course as a church. We've literally gone way beyond, way past Jesus' own teachings that he gave us with his own mouth, and to a vast wilderness of the inventions and teachings of men. I see so strongly the resemblance in our current church to the ancient Jews that Lehi's family were led out from in 600 BC. That people had gone way beyond the Lord's true gospel, and they were ripe for destruction. Jacob describes them in Jacob 4, and I'll replace the word Jews with the word Mormons. Okay, Jacob 4:14. But behold, the Mormons were a stiff-necked people, and they despised the words of plainness, and killed the prophets, and sought for things that they could not understand. Wherefore, because of their blindness, which blindness came by looking beyond the mark, they must needs fall. For God hath taken away his plainness from them, and delivered unto them many things which they cannot understand, because they desired it. And because they desired it, God hath done it, that they may stumble. And now I, Jacob, am led on by the Spirit unto prophesying, for I perceive by the working of the Spirit which is in me, that by the stumbling of the Mormons they will reject the stone upon which they might build and have safe foundation. But behold, according to the Scriptures, this stone shall become the great and the last and the only sure foundation upon which the Mormons can build. And now, my beloved, how is it possible that these, after having rejected that sure foundation, can never build upon it, that it may become the head of their corner? When Jesus lived among the Jews, they also rejected him, because the religious leaders of that day had gone way beyond the true gospel and set up a religious system that had nothing to do with Christ anymore. Because they transgressed his simple gospel, or went way beyond it, they didn't recognize him when he came, and so they killed him. Have we as Mormons also rejected the simple, plain gospel that Jesus taught with his own mouth? Have we also sought for a long, winding covenant path full of things Jesus never taught, full of things that we can't even understand? Have we also stumbled over and over and over again? I'm afraid the simple answer is yes. And I'm afraid that if we don't turn back to the safe foundation of Jesus' own gospel, but continue to walk down this strange and ever-lengthening covenant path that goes way beyond Jesus Christ's own words, that we will be just like the Jerusalem of Lehi's day. How can Christ continue to bless a people that transgress or pass beyond his teachings and cover them over with all kinds of strange teachings and practices and ordinances of our own? How can he allow us to call ourselves his true church and true people? As it says in 2 Nephi 9, but woe unto him that has the law given, yea, that has all the commandments of God, like unto us, and that transgresseth them. We have Jesus' own law, both in the New Testament and in 3 Nephi. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do unto you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law. We know exactly what his law and gospel are, and I'm afraid that we are transgressing them, or in other words, going beyond them, to make our own doctrines and gospels and laws. Transgression and iniquity, the twin evils that the Book of Mormon warns us against so many times. Will there ever be a day when we don't have hierarchies, when we don't have ranking systems, where we don't have men lifted up above women and above other men, where everyone is equal and even? Will there ever be a day when we return to Christ's own pure and simple gospel, to his own words, and to his very simple commandments? I hope so. I hope for that day. Until then, I look to the Book of Mormon and to Christ's words in the Bible as my rod of iron, as the rock upon which I can build and hopefully not fall.